Okay, all you need to know about this is that Anna, Chief Inspector, is quite new to this division. She's been invited to a gala curry night, which any cop would go to for free anyway. And there's been sort of racial tensions in the neighbourhood. There's been an Asian boy that was killed quite recently. So basically all the senior management team have been turned out at this event for putting on a good show. Anna's boss is Mrs. Hamilton, also known as JC, which I'll not go into the nickname. She's got several nicknames. And the other person I think you would need to know is Johnny, who is Anna's immediate boss. He's the superintendent. Quite a attractive looking guy, and Anna quite likes him. Hand on brass door plate, shadows chattering and tinkling through clouded glass. Anna walking into the unknown, along an open foyer lit with lines of turquoise candles. Johnny had made no arrangements about getting together beforehand. Presumably they were meeting inside. So, she donned her subtle armour, pulling back her shoulders, sticking out her breasts. Chin high, skirt swinging, clip-on smile, and in we go. To collide with a surge of perfumed spice, dark cinnamon lodging in her throat, a twiggy saffron smell, and Johnny smiling, waiting for her. At a big round table for 10 at least. Most of the seats were already taken, but he kept one beside him. Gratefully, deflatedly, she took her place, smiled round the rest of the table. She'd known it was a gala evening, and gala implied big brashness, clearly. She'd known, but she hadn't thought. The room held well over 200, but it still felt spacious, cool and high-ceilinged, even with the drapes of gold linen hanging. Blocks of jade and fierce blue in the walls, interspersed with strips of mirrored gold. One wall was a screen of ever-tumbling water. A balcony oozed green ferns, behind which sat the DJ. Tumbling from the tented ceiling, fantastic chandeliers. There was an army of waiters in electric green kilts, several wearing turbans. There were circulating trays of champagne, juice and lassie, slicked to the rhythms of hybrid bhangra and bagpipes. Anna plucked a glass of champagne, smiled again. Straight into the face of Rob Macklin, over on the next table. She shivered in the intense, bright flush of the restaurant. Rob nodded at both Anna and Johnny, then turned away. This was going to be difficult. Worse still was the vision to Anna's far left. Mrs. Hamilton, taking her seat, smoothing down a bile green gown. Anna whispered at Johnny, never losing her fixed-on grin. Thanks for telling me JC was coming. A frugal wave for her boss, acknowledged by a slightly twisted mouth. I didn't know she was till today. Johnny waved too. Mrs. H actually baring teeth for him. Apparently it's a good idea, after the Aziz murder, showing solidarity and all that. Hurrah! Anna drained her glass. Mrs. H continued to glower at them, one hand scooping shovels of poppadom into the little salvers of lentils and bell puri that dotted the table. Well, don't expect me to talk to the old boot. Another drink? Yes, please. Johnny tapped her empty glass, and a full one materialised by her cutlery. Blink and you hardly saw the waiter's hand. He was like that, Johnny. Magic. Anna shuffled slightly closer, keeping her voice low. What about Rob Macklin? Can we talk to him? Or is he still on Tom Cruikshank's hit list? For why? Och, sure woman, your doctor man's never a suspect. A little flutter dance of relief. She was glad. For Rob, of course. And for the reassurance that you could be wrong about someone. Wrong at first and then right. That was a good thing. A mature, reflective thing. It made her feel luminous and slightly drunk. A rustle behind them. Mrs. Hamilton was leaning over Anna's chair. How had she done that, scuttling unseen? Her fingers splayed on the carved wooden chair back, her face pressed close. Her back teeth were grey with fillings. Poor Mrs. Hamilton. Sorry, poor Mr. Hamilton, if indeed there was one. Ho! The impact of Hamilton's wheezy dal breath was augmented by evidence of real lentil on her tongue. I'm no much of a lip reader myself, but see that man over there? He's the head at the local deaf school. As she spoke, her eyes were wending their way round the room. And all I can see is you two slinked up together like two cheeks of an arse. So can everyone else. So you're either talking shop, which isn't on, or you're planning to slip off to the lavs for a gruesome twosome. At this, she patted Johnny's shoulder, which I somehow doubt. The wicked and insightful cheek of her! Anna was having none of it. Mrs. Hamilton, I'm sorry, but that's totally out of... Miss Cameron, just you keep your voice down. We are here this evening to socialise. Show our friendly faces. So get on with it, or I'll split yous both up. Councillor Nair, how are you? One bosom swiped Anna's ear, as Mrs. H set forth across the room to the unfortunate man. You're getting it, big boy, muttered Anna. They sniggered like a pair of wains. Then Johnny shushed her. Chief Inspector, do you mind? That chap's been lined up to be convener of the Joint Police Board, don't you know? No? Should I? An abrupt seriousness, almost rueful as he broke off some poppadom. Damn right you should, lady. Politics is a dirty game, almost as dirty as the polis. This place is crawling with councillors. Remember, our division straddles 2 fiefdoms, East Wren and Glasgow. That's a lot of do-you-know-who-I-ams to keep happy. Anyway, picking up her empty glass. Would you care for more wine, Miss Cameron? Oh yes, I think it's going to be a long night. They continued eating. Anna could no longer judge how much wine she consumed. Her glass was perpetually filled by one charming waiter or another. But she had that fuzzed mistiness about her, the place where it is warm and damp, and you're funny, exuding the sex and sharp intelligence from bubbles inside your blood. If she let one hand drift light across Johnny's arm, the shock of unexpected flesh on flesh, he would turn, would look with heavy eyes. Johnny, I need to ask a favour. I need to take a few days off. My mum's had a turn for the worse. Let it curl, drift. He would catch it, do what's right. Geez, Anna, I don't know. Mrs H is really cracking down in time off, you know she is. But Johnny, I really need to see my mum. I wasn't sure when was the right time to ask. But you could speak to JC for me, couldn't you? Come on. She was walking her fingernails up his arm, him easing his weight away, shiftless. Before he could answer, a spillage of glossy brown hair shook between them. Woohoo! Time to take out the hairpins and start high kicking! Kayleigh had a hand on each of their backs. They're about to start the dancing, Anna. Can I borrow your hunky partner, please? Johnny held up a brace of fingers. Can you just give us 2 ticks, Kayleigh, my sweet? You away and clear a space for us on the dance floor. She blew him a kiss, shimmied off, in the direction of Rob's table. Another diner at the table lunged to catch Kayleigh's wrist, and Rob fixed on Anna as he stretched, stood. She saw him coming, smooth and straight, lowered her head, pretending to study the dessert menu. Room for another. He slid into the empty seat beside her. Through the fabric of her clothes, an effervescence, Johnny on one side, Rob on the other. Hi Rob, enjoy your meal? I did. I can't actually feel my tongue anymore, but it was all very nice. Curry's just not your thing, is it? No, not really, can you tell? Garlic's about exotic as I get. Hey, he included Johnny in his next question. I wonder if there's any more word in Cassie. Your Mr Crookshanks isn't telling us anything. Johnny talked right over him, dunting Anna in the ribs. There's Mrs H coming back from the bogs. Why don't you ask her for time off yourself? Oh, cheers, pal. Thanks a lot. Don't let me keep you from Kayleigh Naybrains. Clearly you'd rather go sniffing than help a friend. Her words were slurring. She was aware of that. But still she chose them with sober care, stressing friend and pal. Anna, I'm helping you. JC hates cowards more than anything. You want the time off, you ask for it. His lips brushed her ear as he stood up. And by the way, me and Kayleigh. Anna, have you not got it yet? I'm as gay as get out. Watching her fingers on the glass, which was slipping, spilling, and she let it curve and bounce. It didn't break, just shuddered in its rolling contour, pale wine printing runnels onto the linen cloth. Anna, are you okay? She was aware of someone taking her hand, moving it from the wet place. It was Rob's hand. Then Mrs H was at her side, flapping a napkin. For God's sake, Cameron, get a grip. You're a bloody liability. I don't need that in my team. Mama spilt a glass of wine. You're pished and you're embarrassing. Get home. I'm embarrassing. You're the one making a bloody scene. Rob cut through the gurgle of noise. Anna's feeling unwell. No, Rob, I'm not unwell. She wasn't angry. He didn't mean to patronise. But Hamilton, just standing there in her poison-coloured dress and her soggy napkin, and she couldn't help it. I'm sick, yeah, but that's different. I'm sick of being treated like shit for one. I'm sick of being treated like an imbecile. I'm sick of being lied to and cut out the loop. I'm sick of doing my best and having it rubbished. I'm sick of being on my fucking own. Jesus, this job used to be about being part of a team. Anna felt Hamilton grab her upper arm, nipping the flesh in jaggy nail bites, until Anna was rising up from her seat, her body, all the faces jumbling. Then another arm, Rob's arm, one hand behind her elbow, the other playing on her back, him gently steering her above her feet, following a line of shimmering blue, lit and dancing like a fuse.
Now, with Twilight Time, you introduced us to Anna and a few other characters. Jamie Worth, who also a policeman, an old flame of Anna's, his wife, Kath, and how Kath also had been a policewoman and had left to bring up the family. And your second book, After the Fire, very much followed Jamie and Kath as Jamie was imprisoned for a firearms incident. And it was interesting to follow Kath's character from the two books, from the pressures, the emotional fallout of being a policeman's wife to being a prisoner's wife. And Anna was kind of sidelined in the second book, literally out of the country at a UN thing in America. So when it came to writing the third book, and it's very much focused entirely on Anna, what was it you still wanted to say about her? And particularly by promoting her and putting her in a different set of circumstances, what was it about that character you wanted to come back to?
I think I deliberately set out when I started writing the books to have a sort of cast of characters almost, because a big motivator for me was to try and show the breadth of different types of people that are in the police, that it's not the stereotypical one type of person. So, and I had no plans to write more than one book, to be honest, so it lent itself to, when I was writing another book, to sort of pick and choose the different people. And I think with Anna in the third book, I wanted to look at the politics of power, definitely. And I mean, I was only a constable. I never got promoted. But some friends of mine have been promoted, and I've had female bosses, male bosses, all the rest of it. And I just thought it was an interesting dynamic for me as a woman, thinking about having a female boss is a positive, brilliant thing, but the reality isn't always like that. It doesn't mean just because someone's female that they're going to be touchy-feely and want to be your best pal. Of course not, they're a manager. And sometimes I felt in the police that some women bosses were, and I think it was true even as me as a constable, you don't want to appear weak, so you become more macho than the guys almost, in terms of being first in the fight and getting back with the banter even sharper and a bit nastier than it needs to be, because you don't want them to see a chink in your armour. So I thought, well, Anna's going to be a boss, but I want to give her a female boss too, so that I can look at even higher up the tree. How do these dynamics work?
Yeah, and I mean, what I was saying at the beginning about thinking, saying that I do believe your books are beyond the genre in their depth and thematically and what they want to say, because I do think there's lots of different themes that you weave through in different ways. Take one of them like loyalty. I think in the three books you can see there's stuff about loyalty within a marriage, loyalty to your friends, loyalty to your colleagues, loyalty to your cat if you're Anna. But that's something you weave through and you explore in different ways. And the same as well as that, not that you step on soapbox or anything, but you've got stuff that you want to say about sex trafficking or the different kinds of abuse, about corruption, about whatever. Are you aware? Is an instinctive thing to get these kind of things into something that is a crime narrative? Is it instinctive, or are you working at, you want to give the genre something that is a bit deeper and that is a bit wider than you would maybe normally pick up off the shelves?
I didn't expect any of my books to be sold as crime books, to be honest, to begin with. These were all things I wanted to write about really the state of modern policing and the society that we live in. And I didn't think, oh, that would be a good vehicle. I just thought, this is my experience that I want to talk about, with the first book, certainly. So it just so happened that was the job that I had done. But, maybe if I'd been a nurse or a social worker, then I would have written in that world. So it wasn't trying to, overturn conventions or anything. It was just, these are the things that I had wanted to write about, social issues, I suppose, and the vehicle that I had seen those things in was as a cop, because that was certainly, I joined the police straight from university, naive 20-year-old girl, and then all of a sudden you're plunged into this world that all of these parallel worlds that are on your doorstep, in your city, maybe next door, but you don't know about them. And then all of a sudden you have this uniform and it's like a key to all these different worlds, and you're expected to go in and somehow make them better. So it just seemed to me there were so many possibilities to tell stories in that world.